Hey TCS TV viewers, it's Dave from the camera store, and today we are going wide. We're out at a gorgeous location here with the brand new GF 20-35 by Fujifilm. When you first get your hands on this 20-35 f4 lens, it does seem a little bit big when you compare it to your full frame counterparts, and it certainly is, but in the world of medium format, it's actually a relatively small and a very good sized lens. The lens comes in at 725 grams, and it's just a little over 112 millimeters in length, and it does boast an 82 millimeter filter thread. When you look at the controls of this lens, it's sort of standard fare for what we expect in a lens like this. We do have a focusing ring, and behind that we do have the zoom ring right in the middle of the lens, and it's the thickest of the three different rings here. Both the focusing ring and the zoom ring have that rubber grippy texture to it, which is really easy to get your hands on. The other thing I like is that to go between 20 and 35, it's only a 60-degree turn. So you can very quickly move one to the other and really sort of check out your framing. Now, closest to the camera, we do have a metal ring that is controlling our aperture. The aperture ring does go from f4 to f22, and if you want to go beyond that, there is the giant letter A here, which stands for auto aperture. And one more step you can lock beyond that is the C. If you want to control the aperture through the camera, you can set it that way as well. Now, I quite like having the aperture ring and using it myself when I'm working with it. I can very easily and quickly see exactly what my aperture is set at, and it's kind of a nice tactile feel to work with. In the naming of this lens, it is a WR lens, and that stands for weather resistant. So what that means is that team it up with a body like this GFX 100S, and you have a weather sealed body and lens combination that I'm confident I can go out and shoot in mild rain. I don't like testing the limits. In torrential downpours, I'm still going to put a cover on this thing. I think it's just common sense and peace of mind, but it does give me the ability to have more confidence when I'm taking this out in sort of poor weather. Overall, when I'm using this lens, I find the controls are very well laid out, really nice and clear, and very easy and smooth to work with. But that's on the outside of the lens. It's the image quality that comes from the inside of the lens, and that's what we're going to talk about next. When it comes to designing the inside of the lens and all the elements and groups, it's very tough to make a wide angle zoom, really nice control to the entire range. Let's talk about the sharpness. That's the first thing we always tend to look at when we look at a lens. Now, there's several factors to it. One is the resolution that this lens needs to be able to raster. I mean, I'm dealing with a 100 megapixel medium format sensor here. That's a lot of resolution, and if the lens can't do it, what's the point? We've got some fantastic shots out here today, but let's turn our attention to some more boring shots that kind of show off this lens's properties. If you look at the center sharpness of the boring brick wall that we're doing here, you can see that the sharpness is fantastic, but it's on the edges that we really want to see how well this lens performs. And even at f4, this lens delivers excellent sharpness from corner to corner. When I stop it down to f8, I only see marginal improvement. I'm splitting hairs wondering if it's actually any better. Take a look at this shot here, and you'll see that lines are nice and straight and distortion free, and the corner to corner sharpness is fantastic. Now, vignetting is to be expected a little bit on an ultra wide angle lens like this, but even that's well controlled with this lens. Now, part of the design of this lens was to make the elements lighter weight, and that allows them to use a stepping motor, which allows this lens to focus very quickly. Now, it's not as fast as your modern full frame cameras, I'm finding, but it's a medium format camera, and I'm not expecting to shoot fleeting moments and fast action with it. When it comes to shooting my kids, even in lower light like at Beakerfest, I had no trouble at all acquiring focus. I have no complaints about that either. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about with the inside of the lens is we have a 9-bladed circular aperture. This allows for some really nice bokeh, very pleasing, smooth background. And I'm really enjoying the overall look and the contrast that the optics are giving with this lens. So overall, what are my impressions? What do I think of this lens? Well, overall, when I look at the image quality, I'm really impressed with what I'm getting out of it. This focal length is great, and if you are in the GFX system, you're going to really appreciate the flexibility of this 20-35 zoom. It allows you to get really nice, big, wide skyscapes, and the reflections we got on the water are so nice to look at. What I find is that the images are really nice and punchy, and I love how sharp they are. I mean, it's something to behold. If you haven't shot with a 100 megapixel sensor yet, it's well worth it. It's a bit intoxicating, like I've said in the past, to have that kind of resolution at your disposal. However, overall, you have to be impressed with the entire package, and what I find is that Fujifilm has done a great job of making a relatively small lens for their system that performs exceptionally well. Now, I of course want to know what you guys think of this lens. If you're a GFX owner already, are you going to run out and jump and pre-order this lens, or are you going to wait for something else that Fujifilm is going to come up with in the future? Let me know in the comments down below. Follow us both on Instagram, and please subscribe, hit the notification bell. We'll catch you again next time. Hey, thanks for sticking around and watching this big episode on this ultra-wide angle lens from Fujifilm. If you want to check out more of our recent content, click up here. And if you are Canadian and you want to support local, check out thecamerastore.com down here.